Hello everyone, it is Shoshana, and today I will be showing you the basics of Adobe After Effects. So right now I'm opening it. Now if you do not know what Adobe After Effects is, it is a software for editing and animation that a lot of people use to make Instagram edits. Now, on the surface it might seem very confusing, but I promise you it is very easy. So right now I'm just opening a new project like you should. The first step is always to start a composition. So at the top you're going to click composition, new composition, and I'm naming mine tutorial. And I will be keeping the values of mine 1080 by 1080 for my format, because I would like it to be a square, but 1920 by 1080 works good for landscape. As you can see now, I made a landscape, but I'm going to go back to composition settings, and I'm going to change it to 1080 because I'm going to do a square for today. Now we have our square composition. So we're going to import our photos or videos to the composition. We're going to go to File, Import, File. And you're just going to find wherever you downloaded your stuff and import that. So now you're going to see it right there, and you're going to drag it into your timeline, which is at the bottom, and then you're going to see your photo or video. Now to split a clip, you're going to find where you want to split it, and then if you're on Windows, you're going to hit Control-Shift-D and Command-Shift-D if you're on Mac. So now it's exactly where I want it to end. Now we're going to repeat that again. So File, and choose where you want, and import it and drag it onto your timeline. Okay, so now if you go to the ends of each photo, you can drag it with those little arrows to the point that you want. So I'm just going to do this because it's a photo and it's easier, but if it's a video, you can just split it like I showed you before. Now you might notice that your photos don't fit the exact same size as my square composition. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to hit S on the photo when you're clicked on the photo that you're on, and you're going to scale it until it fits the shape of a square. And if you can't see the entire thing, you're going to hit position, right click, separate dimensions, and play around with it until you see what you would like. Now we're going to do something called pre-compose. So you're going to hit Control-Shift-C, and I'm naming it 1 because it's my first clip. Make sure you have the second circle and it checked off. And now if you go to S and scale, and now you can see that it fits the dimensions of a square. Now will we do the exact same thing for the other clip. Now to pre-compose, you can also right click on the clip and then hit pre-compose, and then you will be doing the exact same thing. So I will going to name it 2. And make sure you have the second circle clip and the checkbox. You can always slow this down if you need, if it's too fast. Now make sure you change your resolution to 1/4, so that will improve the playback time. It might make the quality worse. Now we're going to enable something called motion blur. So if you're familiar with editing, you might know that it makes it smooth. So you're just going to enable it on both of those 2 ticks with the 3 little circles. Right now we are on the pointer key. As you can see, it's blue at the top. Now we are on the hand tool. That means you can drag around your composition. And to reset it, you can always just go and hit fit to 100. Now we're at the zoom tool, so that lets you zoom in and out of your composition. Now some of these I don't use, but here are some masking stuff which we can get into in another video, our text stuff. And basically that's it. Some of the stuff I do not use. Now if you look at the side, you have this bar with all your stuff. So here's preview, and basically that allows you to play your composition, and along with effects and presets and pretty much other stuff that I do not use. So you don't have to worry about it. I know there's so many buttons, but usually you do not use them, so don't worry about it. Now before we do our transition, we're going to add something called motion tile to both clips. So I already have presets for this, but I will show you how to make it. So on your effects and presets, search up motion tile, and it should be under stylize, and drag that into your clip. Then you're going to change the output width and output height to 300. Depending on what type of transition you're doing, it could be less or more, so we'll talk about that later. And make sure you click mirror edges. Now you're going to do the exact same thing for that clip. Now for our first transition, we're going to do a rotation, so you're going to click R. You're going to hit R on your keyboard, and you're going to hit a stopwatch towards the beginning of your clip. Then you're going to go to where your second clip starts, and you're going to hit a little diamond next to the stopwatch, and we're going to do 125. So now if you play your transition, you might notice that it's slow. So to change that, we're going to use something called graphs, and that basically tells the computer when to accelerate your transition. So you're going to press where it says rotation, and you're going to go to the button right next to our motion blur button on the timeline. And you're going to get something like this. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to click that little button at the bottom with the two bows sticking out. Now you're going to get something like this. So we want it to go slow and then fast because we're in the beginning of a transition. So just follow my graph. And you might have to play around with it a little bit, but basically you can see how it goes from not moving all the way to fast. And if you're having a graph that's looking somewhere different, you can always go to the bottom and change it so that way we're on value graph, because I find value graph easier. So there it is. Hopefully it turns out smooth for you like mine. Otherwise you could always watch it again and do it. It's still a little slow, but since we're learning, it is fine. So now we're going to X out, and then you're going to hit U so that way you don't see your keyframes anymore, and we're going to go on to our second clip. So I like to start right where the first clip ends. That just makes it smoother for me. And you're going to hit the stopwatch again, and we're going to do negative 125. And then we are going to go towards the end, and we're going to hit the diamond, and we are going to go to 0. Now we're going to click on the rotation and go back into our graph editor and re-click those two little bow things. So now we want our transition to go fast and then slow. So you're going to take the knobs and follow my graph. If you would like the top line to be straight, just hold shift. You might have to adjust it a little bit, but that is okay. Now it looks like a very smooth transition. Now we are going to do a scale, so you're going to get your clip, and you are going to click S, and you are going to click your stopwatch. Then you're going to go to the beginning of the second clip and make your keyframe with the diamond and make it 30. Now my motion tile isn't big enough here, so I'm going to change it to 400. Now let's go into the graph, do the little bow thing, which is also called easy ease, and make our graph. So we're going to do the normal graph where it goes from slow to fast. However, we're going to make it so it actually zooms in before it's out. So that's the normal graph. But you want to raise it higher, and it should look like that. Now we are going to start our second clip. So we are going to hit S, and we're going to start a keyframe at the end of the first clip by hitting the stopwatch and put it to 400. Now we'll go towards the end and make a keyframe for 100. Now go to the graph and easy ease, and we are just going to do our fast to slow. So copy my graph. Okay, now we are going to do our X position. So I already have the dimensions separated, but if you do not, then all you have to do is you're gonna right click on position and you're gonna hit separate dimensions and you're gonna create a keyframe for X. Now it might make a keyframe for Y too, but just disregard that. Now we are just gonna make a keyframe at the start of the second clip. And actually first I'm gonna drag it over so I can see where I'm placing this. So I just find a place kind of halfway through the middle. But either way, it should look good. It just, everyone does it a little differently. So for this, I don't really have any like set preference. Now we will go into our graph and easy ease. And we are just going to do our slow to fast as we would normally do. But if you forget, just copy my graph. And then we have our first half. Now for our second clip, we're going to do the same thing. So right click and separate dimensions. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time it's going to be negative, and I would like to do a higher negative number, which actually means a lower number. But so yeah, so like I said, I really don't have a set thing for this. Now I'm going to set a keyframe towards the end for 540, or actually I just did 0, but it's 540, so disregard that completely. Now of course go into your graph and easy ease. And now we're going to do our fast and then slow. Alright, that's it for the After Effects basics. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe if you like it. Let me know what I can do better.